here's what we've got today. A VF Valiant. At least I'm pretty sure it is. Round headlights, you Valiant guys. VF. But I'm told that this one is something a little bit special. $1979, last registered. It's got the wide steelies on it. And this racing stripe. And this is why I'm told it's something a little bit special. 225, so that's a slant, and she's the Pacer. But she might have seen a better day, I think. Slant 6. And there she is. These things used to be bulletproof, reliable. Well, we'll see how this one's sat with age. 69, I think. You Valiant guys, is that right? Is that a 69 VF? But she's got half of the hay shed in the engine bay, which pretty much tells me it's been home to a few rodents. But she's all there, it's complete, carby. We've got a dizzy, we've got a distributor, but it's down there in the nest. So being a Pacer, this one should have a manual as well, but we'll find that out. You numbers guys, what does all that mean? She's all there, trims are there. She got the gauges, tacho. I'll go around the other side. She got Pacer on the glove box, buckets. See if I can get a bit more light in here from the other side. The rims aren't too rusty, I might be able to reuse them. They look a little wider than standard rim. No, I'll have to stick with the driver's side. I'll get through. Let's see if I can open this door. Well, there's our first challenge. Getting a door open. Don't think there's anything good in there at the minute. Some vinyl floor mats. drag this fella out, get him on the trailer, get it home, and see what we can't do with it. See if she's out of gear. It's pretty cool, it's a manual. Mate, this is really something else. Genuine Pacer, 225 manual. A little bit worse for wear, but very, very collectible car. Now she's on the trailer, I can see a little bit better in her, and there's the stick. What's on her? She's even got, she's the 3-speed. And the Smith's gauges, Smith's tacho. She's been home to a few rodents though, but nothing we haven't dealt with before. Righto, let's get her home. The way the sky's looking, we might get our first wash on the way home. So there's no secondary catch on that, so I'm actually going to have to pin them, I think. Let's get that pinned and that pinned and get on the road. Fixed is fixed. The swallows sure did have their fun with it, didn't they? It's probably some sort of weird sickness, but I actually can't wait to hit this with the pressure cleaner. I'm a little worried that's going to fall out in the trip because the top's missing, so we're on a farm, do as farmers do. That's 100% fixed. So off the trailer and back home, and it's looking, well, just as bad as it did. The rodents and the swallows, they've had their fun. So the story goes, original owner from new, and it was only parked because they ran out of seats. 5 children wouldn't fit in the Pacer. So she got parked, and that was roughly 1979 when the rego sticker says. So that would mean May this year it'd make 46 years. So I guess where do we start? Okay, we could start with lubing up that carburetor. It's clearly stuck shut. Not a bad thing though. Finding a positive out of a real negative here, aren't I? But Carburetor's still on, air cleaner's still on, and big long intake runners on these. Pretty much keeps moisture out of them as long as they haven't been, you know, opened up, or the exhaust hasn't been taken off and the moisture can get into the cylinders that way. But she's very complete. Like I said, only parked for the reason of not enough seats. So the first thing I'd probably do is give it a rip and just see if it wants to roll over by hand, because I wouldn't be surprised if it actually did roll over if no moisture has got into it. Like, the intake's still there, everything's still on it. These are notorious for sticking valves though, but we'll see. So some of the junk we find, I approach them with the tact of a sledgehammer, but this one I've got to be gentle. I've got to tiptoe on this one because this is a super collectible car. So I really don't want to mess with too much. It won't surprise me though if it wants to roll over, and there it goes straight away. Am I shocked? No. Yes I am, and no I'm not. I might keep going around actually before I start giving you my thoughts. I'm not shocked because, like I said, sealed up, long intake runners, exhaust is on it, no moisture in, but these things are notorious for sticking valve train. So although, can I hear anything? I can't hear anything clinking like a loose push rod or anything. Hang on, let me mark a fan blade and see if I'm going around, or we'll just watch it. That one. It's now at the bottom. Oh, one tight spot. Now at the top, that's one full rotation. Two full, oh, I was going to say 2 full rotations, but there's a tight spot right at the end there. And all that'll be is either a valve trying to shut that's been open and it's got a little bit of surface rust on it, on its guide, or something like that. But I tell you, that's a pretty positive start. Shocked? Kinda, but not. I think I already explained that. And we've got oil. The oil is very, very low. Any leaks? Can't tell, sitting on the ground. I really can't tell it's sitting on the ground, but I don't think so. Oh. And it is all complete. The distributor's down in a sort of hard to get spot on these slants, but oh no, we're missing a coil lead. Oh no, it's just chewed off. Is it chewed off? It's not great, whatever it is. So maybe we did have one little issue there, but everything else is there. I will end up having to take the rocket cover off just to make sure there's no valves hung open, and also just lube up the valve stem seals so they don't tear the first time we start getting it to, I don't know, turn over or even run. And I'm seeing a couple other little hurdles we might run into, like, I don't know, that hole there in the thermostat housing. And that filter definitely looks like it's 46 years old. She's got a fair nest up behind the starter too. These leads will need a clean up, but just general stuff. Everything's there. Chewed up, but there. What is that? Part of an animal. Don't know how that got there, but I'm curious to see if we've got any dash lights or anything, so I want to chuck a battery at it. Not to try and wind it, I want to get the cover off first, lube up some valve guides and valve stem seals and that sort of thing, lube up the carburetor, but I want to chuck a battery in it, see if we've got anything in the dash or how badly eaten out this wiring is, because there's evidence of mice chewing pretty much everything. So I'll grab a battery. That is literally the worst cable I've ever seen. Anyway, on it goes. No sparks. I don't know whether I'm excited by that or not. Probably not. Like I said, I'm not going to try and turn it over. I just want to see if I've got any signs of life or fire. It's got plenty to burn with the nests, but if I can get some sort of signs of life, at least then we can start freeing up the carby, freeing up some valves, and actually expect it maybe to turn over. Well, under its own power, I mean, we can turn it over pretty easy like that. I don't know what these had compression ratio, but that's not too hard to turn over. How many miles on it? 94,000. You'd have to say original. Has it been around once? I tell you what, those pads don't look too bad. I don't know if it has been around the clock. That could be 94,000 original miles. Anything? Any signs of life at all, please? Whoop! Fuel gauge. Any gauges over there want to do anything? Some lights. That's on. Yeah, that one's on too. Got lights. So there's little signs of life. Fuel gauge going to full. I doubt it's full. So we've got some signs of life, but I think I'll disconnect that clearly because there's also signs of fire. Maybe. And we'll get him cleaned down so I can open up that rocker cover without putting a whole heap of rat turds and dirt in there. Lube down some valves and start rolling it over, see if we can't get that started to work. Maybe I am a little amazed that that rolls over, maybe. Obviously I'm back there doing it again. Righto, stop thinking about, I'll disconnect that so we don't get, you know, fire. Give him a quick tub so I'm not putting dirt and crap and shit down there. Cover off, lube the valves, lube that carburetor. See what that starter wants to do. Right, let's get into it. And I guess unfortunately that means our barn dust, it's got to go. Doesn't matter, you can buy it for $100 a kilo on eBay anyway, can't you? Genuine barn find dust. Righto, let's get it cleaned. I'm going to have to go really gentle in spots because I don't want to blast the stickers off it or anything. Ooh, just made that one better. One on the boot as well. And the stripe. I want to leave it as original as it can be. Just gentle around them. So I reckon 11 or 12 more washes like that and it might actually be clean, but that'll be good enough for now. We'll get the air cleaner off, we'll get the rocket cover off, lube up these valves and get stuck into trying to get this thing to run. That's actually a pretty good sign. It's not rusted at all. So the choke's not stuck. She ain't happy, that carburetor. I'll just let him soak for a minute and we'll get this rocket cover off. That has had that much rat pee on it, the rocket cover's almost rusted through. That's impressive. That's genuinely impressive rat pee. Wow. Check that out. Along there. That is some next level rodent urine rust. That's where all the nest was sitting and it's just rotted the edge of that cover away. Did I say almost rusted right through the rocket cover? I just wire wheel around the head of those bolts and that's completely through. And it's going to do the same on that one too, I think. Anyway, keep going. You know when you're just holding your breath waiting for them to snap? Yeah, well I was holding my breath on both of them. That two back ones are horrendous. That looks like it used to go to there. That's a vacuum port and that's... or maybe to the distributor. Yep, there's the other half of that chewed off. If I can help it, I don't want to break that gasket. Not that it's going back on, but well, it might if I don't break it. I didn't break it. I don't know what I'm thinking here, other than a lot of condensation, but not a lot of build up. I'm looking at that going, what's all this condensation from? How? It's not condensation, you idiot. It's pressure cleaning water from the hole in the rocket cover. See, I was wire wheeling the outside of that rocket cover and went, oh, there's a hole there, but it was clearly a hole there. I've just made it worse because that is near that bolt there. Well, look where the water is. So I literally am not concerned about that one bit. Got some fancy looking green springs, you know. And this being a Pacer, correct me if I'm wrong, you Pacer guys, but will this not have solid lifters, not hydraulic? And a little bit bigger cam than a standard engine. So I'm going to WD them down. They actually look really good, and I sort of already wish I didn't say that, but they do. They look really good. So I'm going to WD the hell out of them, roll it over by hand for a bit, and then we're going to move on to trying to wind it. Like, they look really good. Oh, the valve stem seals are pretty hard. I just poked it with the end of the WD there. They looked good as far as the rubber goes, but they're still pretty hard and brittle. All the more reason, lube them up, try not to snap them, and we'll just roll that over by hand for a while. I'm just going to look for a valve not quite shutting, creating clearance or something like that. They all should have, yeah, a little bit of clearance, because they're solid lifters, which means you adjust them hot with X amount of thousandths of clearance, and they're not like a hydraulic which has preload. That's got a bit enough. I don't know, they're generally like 18 to 20 thou or 22 thou, something like that on it. Just say a big block Chevy that I'm familiar with, but I don't know about these guys. They might not be quite that wide. I've got one, you hear one sounding a bit different there. And that one was tight. That was cylinder 6 intake valve was really tight. You know what? I reckon I'm going to freshen the oil up in it. Because if it was a few years old, I'd, you know, you'd wind it over a bit. I want to give this the best chance of grabbing as much oil as it can, as quick as it can. So oil and filter, and yes, I do have a filter sitting on my shelf for a Slant, because it's just an old Z9. The Z9's super common. Heaps of Fords have them. All the Cleveland V8s have them, and that's why I've got a few of them. So we'll put a Z9 on it and drop the oil, chuck some fresh oil in it, and we'll see if we can't get that starter to roll over. What do we make of this oil? It hasn't got a lumpy. That's a good sign. I'm not disappointed, put it that way. It's okay. We'll get some fresh stuff in it and get winding on it. The old oil filter is not giving up. Not without a fight anyway. Oh, yes she did. She gave up. I think I've remodeled its shape, but I got it. Look, we're gonna go oil everywhere. What did you expect, Mike? I'll put the drain plug in and I'll get that tray. And yes, I did fill the cartridge full of oil. There's a bit of a thing about that, isn't it? Are you a fill the cartridge, don't fill the cartridge guy? I'm fill the cartridge, for sure. Just run a little bit over those valve springs again. You know, try and save those valve guides and valve stem seals. I reckon I'm going to try and run this thing without the... Oh, that was optimistic. Run this thing. I reckon I'm going to try and run it, if it runs, without the rocker cover, because it's got a really big trough. No oil's going to really get away, unless it's flicking off the rockers. But I guess the reason I did sound optimistic there is, so far I like what I'm seeing. The oil didn't come out lumpy. The valve train looks really good. It's been sealed up. The only thing I'm somewhat concerned about is the coil wires chewed up and that carburetor's seized up. But I guess we'll get to that. We'll see what this starter does. Always use the right tool for the job. Let's see if we at least get a click. Jesus, that one is terrible. I won't get anything out of this. I might give it a helping hand. No. I might have to replace that. We'll try it. We'll try first. Nothing else in here, but... Promising first sign, but I'd say that cable shagged. Because the battery's got plenty of charge, so we might have to do a bit to these cables, I think. Do you think? Hanging on by a thread. And I might even clean up these terminals. I'm actually a little reluctant to even want to touch that in case I strip that starter, but we'll see if we can't get a few cables tidied up. It wound, but it wound really slow and then clicked as if it had no voltage. So we'll check the voltage, but I know that battery's okay. And then we'll just clean up some terminals. That is clearly not helping. Okay, so here's one for you. So I just knocked the filter back off to get to the end of this terrible earth cable, to get to that bolt, to remove that terrible earth cable, and it already had oil in the filter. But look, black oil, not clean oil. Now I filled it with clean oil, but when I undid it, black oil went everywhere. And I sit here and ponder for a second, but I think I know what's going on. See, that's the delivery line to the filter, and that's the line that leaves. So that line there must have like an anti-drain back or something at the pump, and that's been full of oil. So the minute I've wound it, like you heard it, only wound over like twice, and I've already got oil. Thank you, Valiant. That was a very, very good idea doing that. Anyway, I'll stop talking, get that earth off. I've got that lead there I think I'm going to use. It's got a decent hole in it. It's a little bit shit, but it'll do for now. And I'll just cut that in and put a terminal on it. We'll get that done, get that off. Right, look at the colour of that. That is not the oil that I just tipped into it. That's oil movement out of that pipe, just from those couple of little lines. I'm excited. I fought with oil pressure on that HZ on the last episode for quite some time, and just to see that quick and easy, I'm loving it. Righto, so we'll have another go. We've got new terminal, new lead for the earth. We've still got the same shitty clamp there, but I've cleaned it up. I haven't touched that end. I'm not going to right now, and we've got 13.2 volts, so bigger battery as well. Stole it out of the F100, thank you F100, and just see if it winds a little quicker. It sounds a bit better. All those valves look like they're moving pretty smooth. I say we move on to something else. We'll start to see if we get some spark. We're not going to get some spark with that coil lead there, that's for certain, but let's see what we can find. Just while I think of it, I'll give this another dousing, because that'll be the next thing. Find a bit of spark and see if we can't get this. Look the other way, will ya? I've moved it, but it's stuck open now. This is another always use the right tool for the job moment, isn't it? That's going to take some effort, because that really feels shit house. What about the other side? Does it pivot right through? No, I don't think it does. Yes, it does. I thought it was a blanking plug, but it's not. Oh, that made all the difference. Yeah, it was on the other side. There was this sticky bit. I wonder if that cable's actually going to work. Right, spark. Let's do it. I have no real reason to think the firing order or anything like that's messed up, but I probably will label them, take the cap out, check the points and everything like that, so I know I can go back together. That guy obviously needs a little bit of love. He's completely falling apart. But yeah, I'll label these guys. Is that one even in? Yeah, they're all a bit like that actually. Label them, pull them out, maybe clean the plugs, get into that. So some of these plugs you can tell that the boots have been very loose because they're full of, I don't know what that is, but I'll clean them out. But the points, they get a little bit of oil residue in there, which may have been the saving grace because they don't look rotted and rusty. It does worry me why there's a bit of oily residue in there, but let's not worry too much about that. And I've knocked the fuel line off. You know the drill, you've seen it before. While I'm winding on it, I'm going to hook some fuel up to it and see if that pump will pump a bit of fuel. I'll disconnect it from there. So while we're looking for spark, the whole time hopefully we'll draw a bit of fuel. Not from the tank though. I'm going to get a little bottle and sit here somewhere. But all in all, a little bit comforting. I got my test light there, and I'm going to check if we've got coil power. The key is off, so I won't have anything there now. Is that loose? That's as loose as anything. So let's check if we've got power. Actually, let's clean it up first. Righto, so key on. Key is on. Test light is there. Do we have coil on power? Yes, we do. Righto. We'll chuck everything to the ground, obviously, but no, we'll move on. Clean out these plug holes. So there we go. I'm not even 100% sure what the hell those little things were that were stuck in around the spark plug holes there, but they're like little larvae or something. Some form of larvae. The cap itself doesn't look too bad. Why would it be too bad? It hasn't been used in 46 years. Anyway, I might give that coil terminal a bit of a clean up, and then we'll see if we can't get this lead. I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyway, we'll put it together. So I've zip tied my fuel up the front there, and I'll have to knock this fitting off over here, just so if we start getting fuel we can pull it up there before it goes in that carburetor. And I might change that filter out as well. I guess I'll leave that filter there, see if we get fuel, and then I'll change it out. But we'll chuck this distributor back together and get that coil lead in. And of course the mandatory quick file up of the points, just in case. Points are never an issue. Oh no. But we'll give him a file anyway. Oh god. This thing is just shocking me every time I touch something. The biggest fight I've had was that rocker cover. The bolt in the top of that rocker cover. Everything else, as rusted as it looks, like that just come apart like it was... I didn't even force it. Oh no, the hardest bit was the carby. Let's see if we can get some fuel. Stop daydreaming. So I should have everything here. I've got all the dizzy back in. We should have spark there. Do I want to check it whilst I'm getting fuel? Sure, get some fuel over it. Have some spark going everywhere. I might pull one plug, huh? Even better. How about I don't pull a plug? I use a different plug. Oh, it won't fit. Yes it is, that's just really loose. Okay, so there's my next thing. Tighten all those up. They're really, really loose. Like that's not barely even touching. Yeah, geez. I might tighten them up. This is what I mean, I'll show you. So they feel like they click on, but I think it's just the rubber section, because when I put that plug in, nothing. It's not gripping onto the plug, and it's definitely in that metal collar. See down in there? I might just crimp them a little tighter. They look a bit knocked about. So I might just crimp them a little tighter, and then we'll check, see if, you know, with a spare plug, see if he's got plug. I'm reluctant to pull them out, is why I'm not going, you know, wrenching on them. I just don't want to go cracking seals and stuff that I don't need to. So I'll just check spark with a different plug, and then we'll see how we go. So now you can't see it, but all I'm doing is there a little C-clamp like that. I'm literally just closing it back up so that you can actually feel it push onto the end of the plug. They just felt that loose. Oh, some of them are quite good. That one was quite good, but some of them were really wide, almost as if they've been pulled off a few times. So I'm starting to think we're heading into the territory where the issues were, if there was any. Coil lead was out, and a few of them looked like they'd been pulled off. So I wonder if we did have a spark issue as we parked it. Anyway, winding on it, see if we get some fuel coming out there. Come on, pump. Might take some load off it and take that filter out, I think. Nothing looked like it was happening here though, I'll give you that tip. Check me spark while I go. That's what I was doing, I was checking me spark, wasn't I? So we'll sit that there. We'll knock that fuel filter out so they're really close to one another, and that should be mint. Righto, I got that off, but as I was getting it off, you know what you forgot to remind me? Last episode I said 5/16 fuel clamps, remind me to get some. Nah, didn't get them. Forgot all about it. So I've got fuel hose, but I've got no clamps, so, and no filters either. Filters, damn it. Alright, so we'll see if we get fuel, if we need filters, but we'll see if we've got spark there too. We have no spark. Nil on the spark. And nil on the fuel. So we've got nothing. Alright, fair enough. We'll work from there. We'll give it another go in case I didn't earth properly. Alright, so we're going to see exactly how far our spark is travelling, or where it's stopping. We've got coil power. Okay. Anyone going to tell me about that? There will have been somebody out there that saw it, although it was down there, you might not have seen it. But I got that pumped. Made probably one of the rookiest errors ever, and I didn't put the rotor button back in. So I just checked. I had points for grounding and all that, and I looked over and went. So we'll just put that all back together now, and we won't speak of this moment again. Ever. I never said I was smart. Ever. Not once. You know you've done it. Everyone's done that. Take 2, looking for spark with rotor button. I can actually hear it clicking. I didn't see any of that plug, but it might not have fired yet. I've got nothing, but I can hear it clicking. Give everything a wiggle back in. It's going somewhere because I can hear it. Yep, got spark, there you go. Everything just need to wiggle. That coil lead is shitty, and I mean shitty. The ends are all chopped up and everything, but it's in there now, and if you watch this little plug, and you gotta watch hard because it's only a little spark, but it'll do. If I wind it, you watch that plug. See? And again, if we get any fuel, we've got no fuel. No fuel yet. Oh well, spark's good enough. Let's work on fuel. I'm not going to write that pump off just yet. Mainly because everything else was going pretty bloody well, and I'm thinking leaded fuel is the reason I'm not going to write it off. There's no way this has ever had unleaded in it, and when it dries it ruins everything. But leaded fuel, you know. Anyway, I'm going to go for broke and just start adding some fuel and see if I can get it to bark or cough, or just want to spin faster on its own and maybe suck some fuel up. I'll just get that out of the fan and see if I can't get this thing to take some fuel. Why isn't it taking it down the breather? Tell me why. Why is that? Maybe I can just throw it in down there. Oh, that goes down, not up. That's why. Alright, I'll just do that then. What about in that front? There'll be a needle and seat in there, but I wonder if I can get some past that. Probably not. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've got spark though, I know I do. But then again, if you would drive for 40 years, I suppose you're not going to bark straight away. Well, I'm not going to use the accelerator because it's stuck wide open the minute I used it. I might just idle it up a bit though. Sounds like I'm needing a jump start now. Yep, let's jump start it. Alright, I'll see what happens if we give her a bit of a quicker whine. Come on, have a drink. It's all probably running down to 1 cylinder, but I'll be happy with 1 cylinder at this point. I'll just check how hot that, or if that starter's getting hot, because it doesn't sound real happy. It's not hot yet. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it will be. So we've got plenty of battery now. Because he's essentially running off the alternator of my truck. And it's getting to the starter. Just old and tired. Oil pressure and amp gauge both work. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm going to need a new starter. It's just too slow. It's never going to wind fast enough, I don't think. But I'm going to keep persevering with it, no doubt, until I absolutely send myself crazy trying, I suppose. I might try and get that throttle cable working. I figure if I get that throttle cable working, I can be pumping at it while I'm in the cab. I wonder if that's the accelerator pump. I wonder if I just threw a bit of extra fuel down it. Not that it needs more fuel, but I'll try. Try another starter. I'm going to give this starter one last go, and that is pull that terminal off and clean it all up. But I'm wondering if internally it's just been sitting too long. It's really slow, but I can try another starter because that's my AP5 and there's another starter. I know that one starts okay because it starts my AP5, so if need be I'll whip that one out, but for now I'll just try and give that terminal a clean up, and do try to ignore that, won't you? Anyway, so believe it or not, under all that rust, it actually wasn't that bad, and neither was the end of the lead. So I'd say we're going to be swapping a starter, but I'll just do it back up and give it one last go. So terminal and lead cleaned up, but I don't think it's a voltage issue or voltage drop. It's internal in that starter, because I've got 13.3 at the battery. When it's running off the other truck, I've got 14.1 volts. So if it turns over slow now, it's starter out. That will do me. Starter out, come on. So the more I think about this, the more I remember back to the AP5 episode where we got this one going, and a friend and I actually cobbled that starter together from a heap of other old starters, which started me thinking, yeah, you heard it, which made me think, did I buy one? And so I think somewhere in here, and the floor pans are back for this one, so that's why he needs floor pans. So he's coming back, but maybe in the boot. Rocker cover gasket. Oh, that must be the rear floor pans in the front, but 9-tooth starter. Thank you, AP5. I'll buy you another one. Different terminal, but that's okay. I'll work that out. Now all the Pacer guys are freaking out. You can't put a cheap starter on that thing. Yeah, I can. But I actually know what you're saying. Nothing will get wasted off this. I'm not chucking bits away. This starter will go on the boot. And you're absolutely right. If you're going to do a resto on it, you'd restore this starter that's coming off it, because this will be the original. I'll guarantee it. So, no, nothing will go to waste. This is only just to get it to make some noise. Get it running, make it deserve the right to get a rebuilt brand new Mopar starter. Got and there's more rat's nests in the bell housing. Who would have thunk it? So starter's in, and I just made myself a little wire connector to go from that different terminal. It was a round terminal, just so that I didn't have to butcher up the harness, the factory harness that is, for the same reason. If you're going to restore this thing, you want to put the factory starter back in, and you don't want butchered up harnesses. That does look like it's had another end on it, but for now I'm leaving it exactly the way I found it, and we'll give that a rip. I'll check it on this battery first. I reckon I've got enough voltage. Get rid of some tools and that, and if I don't have enough voltage the way it is, you got that train there. Alright, I'll see if it runs any better, but I probably will put the truck back on it. I'll be honest, I don't think that's any faster. At all. But yet I can turn it over almost by hand. Well, I can turn it over by hand. I can't now. Why can't I now? Why can't I turn that over? Why can't I turn that over by hand now? Turned over really easy. Definitely got oil pressure. It's even showing on the gauge. Even at that slow speed, it's showing on the gauge. Why can't I turn it over now? I don't get it. We've even got oil everywhere now, like everything lubed up. Doesn't feel any faster. And now I can't turn it over by hand. I might have to go back to square one. Plugs out. It turned over so easy though. I wonder if the rings have popped out. Now they're dragging and the balls a bit. They might have been a bit stuck in or something. Alright, well if that's what we've got to do, that's what we've got to do. Back to square one. It turned over that easy by hand initially. I sort of shortcut putting anything down the cylinders thinking, well, there's no drag, there's one little tight spot, and that was about it. So, plugs out. I don't need to wind it for oil pressure, look. That is the best comeback of oil pressure I've ever seen, to be honest. These slants are crazy. So at the minute all I'm fighting with is, I guess, turning over speed, and I've got to get that throttle cable loosened up so I can pump the throttle from the cab if I happen to get it to bark. Jesus, how long are these spark plugs? Fair dinkum. Anyway, I'll get these out. I still would have thought that'd be faster. And I can't turn it over again. The only thing could possibly be is that starter locking it up. That was my knee on that freaking chrome bit of shit hanging off the guard. Oh, whatever. Righto, so plugs are cleaned and going back in. Should I check spark at every single plug? Probably. That's what happens when you rush. I've already made one rookie error today with that rotor button. Let's just slow down and check. Yep. So I'll go through and check each plug as I put it in, make sure I've got spark there. I guess that's probably another rookie error. I checked spark with a random other plug. It didn't necessarily mean that that plug was alright. So we'll do that. We'll slow down. Slow down, Mike. So number 2 was the only one I really had trouble getting spark to. But I did get it eventually. I just had to give the plug a couple of goes at cleaning it. That might be on the list for this afternoon, a set of plugs. Although I really want to leave like they've been sitting in it for how long? I really want to leave them in it. But anyway, we'll see if it runs alright. Plugs, fuel pump at this stage, because it still hasn't sucked up anything. I've wound it a little bit. The rocket cover can go back on because we're having no trouble with oil pressure everywhere. Go on there. Righto, so do I sit the rocket cover back on? No, let's give it another crack how it is. Now that we know every cylinder's got spark. I heard one little jump. We got oil everywhere. It's got good oil pressure, like really good oil pressure. I might chuck that cover back on. So we'll give it another hit. I just wanted to pop and fart and tell me it's going to run, and then we can get that carby off and rebuild it. But for now, I just want to see if it's... Give me something. I want that choke open, do I? I don't know. Alright, so let's have a go. I've just zip tied that choke open. I'm thinking we've got enough fuel. I've dumped the heap down it, so we want more air, and especially air to travel and carry some fuel. So I'll give it another go. Righto, I think it's new plugs time. The spark was there, but it was dull. It's going to need all the help it can get from what I can hear. New plugs. I'll write myself a list. So, plugs. I've still got starter because I've got to replace the one for the AP5. So starter. Another filter to replace the one I took off the shelf. The leads are okay because the plugs had spark. I really don't want to replace them because they're those specific ones that push into the head. Fuel pump. Because that's wound enough to try and get fuel through that. It's clearly not working at all. That's all I can think of. Let's go and get that. So on my way to town, I had a revelation. Two revelations. One, it was Sunday, so where I was going to get the gasket kit for the carby and a fuel pump, is closed. Anyway, I got spark plugs therein, and the other revelation was, as I'm driving to town, I'm thinking, how the hell can that now be impossible to turn over by hand? Well, you could turn it over, it was just hard. It's a starter. It's got to be interfering with the ring gear. It must be just staying engaged. It's a cheap starter. It's very possible. Maybe it should have a shim kit or something in it. And I've loosened it off, and sure enough I can turn it over again. Look, sure enough. There she goes, turns over. And I've backed that starter off about 3 or 4 millimeters, so it's staying engaged. It's probably lucky it didn't start then, really, because it would have tore up the starter or the ring gear on the back of the engine there. What am I saying? You know, the flex plate, or clutch in this case, isn't it? It's a clutch. It's manual. So I will probably have to pull the other starter out of the AP5 and shelf that one to put in the AP5 with some shims. So let's do that. Right, I kind of feel like we're back to where we started, but that is the starter off the AP5. I know it works. It might not be good, but I know it works. I've got the jump pack on it, or my truck on it. I'll dose some fuel into it. The new plugs are into it. Let's just see if it makes any difference at all, because I'm running out of daytime. Come on. Give it a bit of throttle. Come on, baby. That's the first signs of life. Come on. So now I'm only playing carburetor. I'm being the carburetor is what I mean by that. That thing is probably full of gunk and whatever else, but that almost went, so I'm going to keep going. Come on, you nearly went. Come on. Why can't I get any in that breather? How about some compressed air? I'm just sort of wondering why I can't get any fuel down that vent tube. I should be able to. That was blowing air all through this. One way or another, I'm putting some fuel in it. I'll be buggered. We have a squirter. We have carburetor squirter. That just ran. It does confirm for me though that oh no, I was going to say that the pump shagged, but the pump's got fuel going everywhere. So all it was the pump just couldn't pick up fuel. It was just I'm struggling to talk right now because I've got fuel going everywhere. It's almost as like it's now gravity feeding out that pipe. I've got nowhere to put it. So, quick, come down. check it out. We've got fuel everywhere. So now I'm going to run that line. Where's that other line? What do I do with it? I'm going to get some new hose and a filter on that and run that up to back to the carburetor and see if we can't get some fuel in that carburetor. I've changed my mind. I just chucked it back on. I'm pretty excited. I'm just going to give it another whirl and see what we can get out of it. All I did before was lifted that and filled the bowl through that vent. And as I said, we've got squirter. Check this out. Oh geez, I don't know if you'll see. See if you can see any fuel there. But we got a little bit of accelerator pump. Squirter, accelerator pump, same thing. I guess the reason I take a punt on this carb is leaded fuel. Never would have seen unleaded. It still evaporates, but it doesn't leave that shitty residue that modern fuel leaves. So I might not even need that truck. If I can get it to run again, I'll kill that so you can actually hear it. I've got a plan. Oh geez, we've got fuel going everywhere. That's okay. You do have fuel going everywhere though. Fuel line bled. Here's the plan. I shut this one off so you can hear it. I idle it up so I don't have to start on the throttle, and we'll see if we can have a walk around while it's running. So if I can just bring the idle up a bit. Like that, just open that throttle. Make sure he's not going to stick. That should give us a little bit more of a high idle. So we'll have another go. All I was doing was giving her a bit of a squirt with the pedal while I wind it. Straight up. Leaving there for a bit, bearing in mind we've got no water. Righto, I'm going to run with this killer. It's going to run. Well, it is running. But we need some water. We've got a bit of an issue here, that's for sure. Oh, seriously? So I've got a little parts list now. A water neck is one of them. You didn't honestly think I was going to settle for that, did you? I'll get something going here. I don't care if it leaks like a sieve, we're going to get more than that. Even if I've got to leave that hose in it while I run it. Good on that pump for working. It's leaking from pretty much everywhere, but we'll give it one more turn. be a bit more chattery than a solid lifter can. One little rev and then we'll shut it down, eh? Oh. You just drank a bit of water then. We're getting there, we're getting there. I went to give her a rev. She threw water straight out of there, straight down the carby and nearly choked itself. But that's the main concern there. That Welsh plug is rotted right through, I think. I might be able to minimise that. And then we'll fix that. We'll do something. And yeah, I know. I made a couple of mistakes today with that starter, but the old saying, if you don't try, you're going to die wondering. So I threw a couple of ideas at it. That one worked. The old Chinese one didn't so much, but does that shock anyone? Not really. 46 years fired up. So I kind of wish I could let it run for a little bit longer and get some more footage of it today, but that's not a bad result for day one. That Welsh plug is absolutely pouring out of it, so it will need a Welsh plug, but not right now. Tomorrow I might smear a bit of JB Weld in the bottom of it, let it settle. I'll get these wheels off today so I can get the wheels. I'll probably have to order some tyres because they're only 14s I think, and no one really stocks 14, so I might have to order some tyres, but at least we'll get those wheels to the wheel and tyre shop, see if we can get something done. Because the next step is get a water neck, well, probably off my AP5, and if it's going to run, then try and break a clutch loose, see if we can get it to drive. And that would also mean get all the turds out of inside, because I'm not fancying driving that. But anyway, it's not a bad start. I'll get these wheels off, but I'll see you in the morning. I just remembered I do have one last thing for you before we go. Don't forget on early Valiants, righty loosey, lefty tighty on the left hand side. The left hand thread, it was an early Valiant thing, but that should be tight in it, right? Righty tighty, lefty loosey on that side, righty loosey, lefty tighty on this side. See you in the morning. So I guess this morning is going to be all about making this thing hold some water so we can run it for a little bit longer. So that neck's got to get changed out. That Welsh plug, like I said, I'm going to patch it up. Why don't I do it properly? Because I don't have a Welsh plug and I don't have gaskets, and I need to do it now, not in 3 weeks when the parts turn up. So we'll patch that Welsh plug. It doesn't ruin the authenticity of it. As I said, we can replace that later, but for now it's just make it earn the right by getting it to run and drive. So after we can get it to hold some water, I'm going to break this clutch free. But to break the clutch free, I sort of got to be in here. And right now, in here is not that hospitable. So I think first thing, because it's decided to rain on me anyway, is strip the seats out and start pressure cleaning. I'm going to get wet anyway, so I may as well do it this way. Righto, I'll stop talking. We'll get some interior out. Oh, I forgot the door doesn't open. I'm going to have to climb through. I'm not much of a glove wearer, but this is some next level stuff. Hey, did you do all this? Did all that? You've been busy. So I got that passenger door open and stripping the interior is going well. It's going okay. But I had a little moment there where, as I was passing through the floor, trying to get that rear seat out, because you have to push it in and then lift it up, I had a bit of a moment. So I've actually got to pull up for a second and just regather myself. because I'm having a bit of a human boundaries sort of a moment. So it's not even close to beer time, but I earned that. That was actually 2 days. Well, today's not over, but the most part of 2 days. And in total about 12 hours of just non-stop sweeping up, vacuum out, pressure clean. And at one stage, I even went full hazmat. And about 15 litres of degreaser and 10 litres of disinfectant later, she's minty fresh. No, she's pine fresh. But anyhow, it's a lot cleaner is what I'm saying, a lot cleaner. And I think I might have came out of it with a new talent. I actually think I could now swim from Melbourne to Tasmania without taking a breath, because I'm now a Jedi Knight of holding my breath, even through a mask. Mate, that was testing the boundaries. It's one of those jobs you just sort of had to suck it up, not literally, and just get into it. I was breaking it up into sort of 3 or 4 hours of work, 10 minutes of self-doubt and reflection, 5 minutes of regret, and then just get back into it. And right at the end, Scotch-Brite the whole car. And then I've used a product called Penetrol. And why Penetrol? You know I'm a fan of clear coating, these sort of things, but this isn't mine. This is the first car you've seen here that I don't own it. The owner's name is Frank Armand. Unfortunately, Frank passed away in the 5th month of last year. And through a friend at work who is a very close member of that family, through a conversation over a beer, we thought we'd get it running. Well, we've done that. All right, me being a sucker for punishment, I actually want to go one step further. We're going to get stuck into these brakes because I have to go back to work tomorrow. So if I'm going to get anything ordered, if I need anything, I've got to get it ordered today. When I'm back at work, it'll arrive So we really need to get stuck into these brakes and see. The idea for me is drive it back up that driveway to where we found it. Where we towed it out of, I want to drive up that driveway. Clutch or no clutch, brakes or no brakes, that's the goal. Drive it up that driveway. It could be a very, very sketchy drive, but anyway, it'll drive. And there's always that question, I guess, is how does it get like this? Well, that's an easy one. Bought new in 69, driven till 79, parked when they needed more seats, and that's what a good guy does. He puts his family first, his needs before his wants. He might have wanted to get this thing running again, but you got to remember there was a day when these were worth nothing, and the repairs it would have needed were probably worth more than the car. These days, I know classic cars are worth a lot of money, but it actually wasn't that long ago that they were worth nothing. I know myself, I have a story, and it was only from about 2002. I went to look at a HT Monaro, a few parts pulled off it, but essentially a complete bad car. The guy was at $2.5 grand. I pulled up at 1,800 bucks and I walked away. I think 2 years later the car sold for 5.5 grand, and then it was only a few years after that that everything just skyrocketed. So I'm sure you've all got your own stories about the one you walked away from or the one you sold cheap, but we're talking maybe 20 years ago is when these things really started to climb in value. Anyhow, we'll stop talking, let's get into these brakes. The first drama I'm going to have with the brakes is I've actually already had a go at that nut and I can't get it. So I'm going to have to weld something, a little bar or something to that, crack it, then grind it back off just to get that bolt undone. It just rounded off the edges and I just can't quite grab it. Unless I can think of another way, but anyway, we'll get stuck into that. Now I know that doesn't look that great, but here's the theory. Hopefully now I can get a good grab on that, and that bolt will actually now be hot enough to unthread. We generally use heat to loosen a bolt. Well, that'll be plenty hot enough, so I'll see if I can get that guy, and then I'll just cut the new bolt off, pretty up the bolt, put the original bolt back in. Authenticity complete. What's the chance of this working or snapping? Which way am I going? I might actually, this sounds dumb, but I'm going to give it a nip in first. Doesn't want to go in first. Righto. Hold your breath. Yeah, she's going to go. Look at that. You little beauty. Unless it snapped off. No, I don't think it did. Now everyone, all together, what will that be? Hot. Don't touch it, dickhead. Can't help myself. It ain't too bad. Righto. That's actually going to be a bit of a chore to cut that off, but anyway, it worked, so that's all I'm keen on right now. The moment of truth. How miserable am I going to feel after this? Oh, check this out. Look at this. Look at this. Full of fluid. To the brim. Oh, the back one. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. So I'm going to try my luck. Just top that rear one up, crack a few bleed nipples and see how we go. Here's something for you. If you think modern brake fluid is the same as, let's say, 1979 brake fluid, you're kidding yourself. These days, couple of years, especially if it's open to the atmosphere, which this was obviously not, it absorbs so much moisture that that's borderline a clean. Doesn't even smell like modern brake fluid. Taking all the harmful shit out of it, that's where they've gone wrong. Put the harmful shit back in it, I say. Okay, so as good as that looks, I heated it up to try and free that piston. I've put my foot on the pedal and it's stuck in, and that's it. So I did actually expect that. I didn't expect it to look that good, but I did actually expect it, which means I preempted it. And I have a seal kit, but only a seal kit. I couldn't get a complete master. And I want to keep that one too. That's, you know, the car's original. So we might get some fluid out of it, disconnect the brake lines, pull it off, and see if we can't put... We'll see if I can't figure out how to put a seal kit in it. Never done it before. I'm just going to keep wriggling that line, because initially it wanted to bind up on the actual line itself, like the nut wanted to stick to the line. If you watch this one, you'll see what I mean, because it's doing the same. You watch the line try and twist. I'm just going to wiggle it and wiggle it and wiggle it until it wants to break free. Otherwise what happens is you undo the nut and it just snaps the head off the line. I'm probably going to have to try and hold that one with a vice grip or something. See, that guy's coming good. I'll be interested to see what the inside of the line look like. If it's pretty clean, it might give me a bit of confidence that we're going to get fluid to at least the rubber lines. And then if I need them, I'll order them this afternoon. Guess what that is? Really, really hot. Got him a dick like that. And in a funny way, I want to grab it again. I guarantee you, I would have to be borderline of the dumbest prick alive when it comes to grabbing things that are hot. I get that focused with what I'm doing. I forget that I just heated it within an inch of its freaking life. I never said I was smart. I'm going to need a different set of grips, I think. And this is a bit of a touchy one, because you want to clamp it but you don't want to pinch it. I just want to put a little bit more resistance on it so I can just break the nut away from the line. Come on, I don't want to make lines, all right? Take a look at the end of these lines. You see in there? That looks as clean as I can get. I can't see in that one, but still, master off. Let's get into it. I can't get the camera down there without flexing the line. I don't want to do that. But the back one is not as good. It has got a bit of surface rust in around that flare, which means when that got low, it obviously was letting a little bit of air down around that fitting. Okay, so I might just have a look at that pedal. I think the rod stays with the master and comes away from the pedal because I'm pulling the rod and everything. So inside the cab we go. Lucky we cleaned it. Righto, so I've undone it from the pedal, and that is still really hot. Mind you, I did give that a fair cook. I was being optimistic. I thought if I can get that piston to let go. Righto, let's empty her out, get it to the bench and get something done. So I don't know how much I can give you from this point forward, other than I'm just going to wing it. I've never pulled one apart. I hope that seal kit is the right one for it, but straight up I'm not seeing that seal. I'm not seeing that seal at all, unless they're using that other little one there to go in there. Anyway, so there's a clip in there. I don't know if you can see up in there, but there's a clip up in there. I'm going to start with removing that, start seeing if I can pull the piston out. I'm just trying to pull this piston out, but hands up if you can predict an outcome from this, and it'd be me ending up on my back, I think. Oh, it'll come. That just moved in, so if I can work it in, I can get it to work its way out. It might just take 73 goes, but I'll get it. That wasn't quite the outcome I meant. However, it nearly resulted on the outcome I thought, and that is me laying flat on my back. Let's have another go. Go in again. Well, I got that bit. What else is in there? Spring. You remember now this goes back together. I'm relying on you guys. Righto, I think I've got to call it a day. I'm dead in the water. I need a really long set of needle nose pliers to get that secondary piston out. That's the primary piston, right? And that goes to there, and there's a secondary piston in front of that. The problem being, I can't grab it. I've tried compressed air. It's not going to budge, but it's late. It's after 5. Everything's shut. So that's probably it for today. But good day. Good couple of days. I am a little disappointed in that master. Would have been nice to get that rebuilt, but I'm not disappointed in the last couple of days. That has been a fairly hard slog, but it's a hell of a lot nicer inside than it was, and I'm one step closer. I get that master sorted, I'm one step closer to getting brakes sorted, then it's brake and clutch free, and we're running and driving. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Anyway, I'll see you in the morning. So this morning I ducked in and got long needle nose, and I've been fighting with this for a number of hours now, just trying to force that guy out, but I'll show you where I'm up to. So I fought with it for a couple of hours with those needle nose pliers, just trying to twist the piston and pull it out. So much so that I've renamed it. It's not a master cylinder anymore, it's an effing master cylinder. That's spelled E-F-F-I-N-G. And if I was to use it in a sentence, I would say, I've been fighting with this effing master cylinder and we are no longer friends. But anyway, I went to extremes. I went nuclear on it. Here's what I've come up with. So in the bottom of the master cylinder here, there's the little holes that the fluid travels out of and into the piston. Well, I've blocked the front one with a G-clamp with a little rubber grommet underneath the base of the clamp. I've made this little fitting, which is just a blank plug, and I've drilled and tapped it with a grease nipple, if you see there. So now I'm forcing grease into the master. It can't come out the reservoir. It has to push the piston out. And it's one of those ones where you go, why didn't you just do that first? Well, I didn't think it was going to be that hard. I thought I'd get it out with the pliers. But anyway, you know the old saying, when you're about 4 hours into a half-an-hour job. But anyway, this is where we're at now. Take a look at this. So as I get the old grease gun and force grease into there, look. Can you see in there? There it is. It's coming out. It's slowly pushing its way out. I wonder what the part number is on an effing master cylinder. So now we're really getting somewhere, because the piston's obviously travelled back far enough. Grease started coming out that fitting. So if you take a look at the floor, you'll understand the struggle. Fittings, brake lines. That's a brake bleeder attachment. I've had to put a screw in the end of it so I can actually block the grease off there. That'll leak like a sieve, but it might be just enough to get this piston to pop out. I don't think there'll be enough pressure to pop it out as such, so I just keep going. The old reservoir is going to take a bit of a clean. She's going to be full of grease. Look at all the hack marks from me and my pliers. Oh. Well, the spring's nice and lubed. So now it's as simple as clean all the grease off with just degreaser and whatever else. I've got a little brush. I'm going to fish all the grease out of the body and then flush it with brake clean and whatever else it takes to get it out. And then it's just put it all back together. So that's the secondary piston. That's the primary piston that I've taped up so it didn't get away from me. And that just goes obviously straight in that way. So replace all those seals, these little fellas, just bang it back together. So next thing I want to do, I haven't quite finished cleaning it, but I don't know if you can see down in there. I'll try and get my light down to there, but you can see some discoloration in there. Anyway, I want to give it a bit of a clean out and hone, so I've got myself a little piece of dowel, just so it's big enough I can fit it in the drill. And I've cut a slot in the end. I'm just going to insert me 320 wet paper, twist it round, and then insert it like that. So essentially when you spin it, it's going to be doing that. It's only really light. It's not going to press on the walls too much, so it's not going to change the diameter. It'll just clean it. So I'll get that down in there, grab the drill, give him a bit of a spin. Mint. That is absolutely mint. I couldn't be happy with that. Could not be happier with that. Time to go back together, and then I'll just bleed it. Once I get all the main pistons in, the primary and secondary pistons in, I'll just bleed a bit, maybe of that old brake fluid. It's clean, but it's old. So I'll just bleed that through a couple of times, make sure all these holes are doing hole stuff, and then we're done. I definitely could have got a longer piece of dowel to do that, hey, so I could like do it from the other side of the room. Anyway, it did the job. Here we go, and I'll just get my circlip in. I'll be able to just push it in like that, I think. And right there at that moment, amidst all my triumph, is when it all turned to shit. And I don't just mean to shit, I mean to shit. So you see I put some WD on the pistons, inserted the pistons back in, fitted the master up, pumped it a couple of times, everything going mint. And I didn't even think, I just put a bit of brake clean in that master and just sort of flushed that last bit of grease out. And in the time it took to pump that master a couple of times, tip the brake clean out and fill it with brake fluid, it locked up solid. Absolutely frozen solid, couldn't move the piston at all. And I'm now back to this point where I had to insert my grease nipple again and pump the piston back out with grease. And so we're back to here with both pistons back on the table, full of grease again. And I didn't really know what went on until I took a look at the seals. They're all really swollen and basically ruined. All the seals in it had basically swollen up that bad. They were just grabbing on that bore and it locked it up hard. And that was in the space of maybe a minute and a half. So I did a little scientific test to figure out what had gone on. And in my little scientific petri dishes, I put WD in one, brake clean in the other, and I put half of the damaged seal in one and one of the old seals in as well. And if you look, that's the WD, the old seal's fine, the new seal is really swollen. But then you look at this one, that's the brake clean, the old seal is even swollen up, the new seal is just like elephantitis. So the new seal really didn't like either one. It didn't like the WD or the brake clean. And I use WD and brake clean for pretty much everything. I've never seen that before. The way that those new seals have reacted to even the WD has just blown my mind. Anyway, I should have left a bit of grease in there, chucked brake fluid in. Anyhow, I'm back to square one. Had an internal tantrum for a little while, but anyway, I'm shallow. There's a ton we can go on with. But essentially I'm now waiting for another rebuild kit so I can do that all over again. Did I mention that's an effing master cylinder? Anyway, as I said, lucky I'm shallow. We can do, the seats can go in, we can clean the door trims, break that clutch free. And I've got wheel cylinders, front hoses. Let's stop bitching and get into that. So the door trims, I'm just going to use a little scrubbing brush just on the end of the drill and just twist him fairly slowly. And just a little bit of degreaser diluted with some water. I want to be kind of gentle on them because they're the originals. I don't want to ruin them. Although they're sun damaged, they're going back in. And if you remember, I pressure cleaned the hell out of the inside of these doors. And they're pretty good. But there's just, now that they're completely dry, there's a couple little chunks of debris like that. I just want to vacuum out because I'm going to fish oil inside of all of these doors before I put the plastics back on. And then I'm just lubing up all the locks make sure everything works before I put the trims back on. Mint. Done. So all the door trims are back on, but this is the only door not playing the game. If you see it sitting out a bit, and it just won't grab that second catch. So first of all, I think I'm going to try and tilt the door in, but I might have to move that striker out. But we'll start by doing that. We'll start, see that gap there? Well, it disappears down here, so that bottom section's in. Yeah, look. So I might just try and tilt that top in somewhat. And to do that, you're going to undo this hinge and just try and tilt him in. I'm actually not even going to undo that guy. I'm just going to try and get enough movement out of that one. I think that old hinge will have enough slop in it. If I can just roll that in, it'll only be a fraction. If you see here, top of the door just sitting out a bit. Even when it's fully pushed in like that, still hanging out. So I'll just try and tilt him. Not even close, it's 9/16. I suppose it is close, it's the next size up, but I thought I was better than that. I'm not. And I'd say this door has had a skin on it, just by the way it's so differently weathered. And this was the only door trim that had been off. It had the different plastic on the inside. So at some stage, say she had a, oh geez, I don't know if that's going to go in. I might have to take that catch off. So why I say I might have to take that catch off, I think the catch is stopping it from going in. So we'll take that guy completely off. We'll get the door gapped and adjusted in properly, then put the striker back, or the catch back in. If you don't have an impact driver too, one way to get a bit of leverage on them, like that, set of vice grips on a screwdriver. Yeah, they weren't even tight. So she's had a little bit of work in this area before. See what we get now. It's definitely better. Well, that latch is out as far as it'll go. So if this isn't going to improve it, I'd say we've got something else at play here. And I'll have to find out what that is. Well, you've got to give it a bit of a bang, but it's better. It's in a bit better at the top. More importantly, it stays shut. That'll do. And as I say, this is the only one that had a different plastic behind it. And I know it looks like it's barely worth putting it back, but the purists would want me to, so I'm doing it. The Pacer faithful. Righto, winder, door handle, let's get into it. I guess I kind of like investigating those little stories too. This one to me looks like it's had a skin on it. You can see evidence of repainting on the inside. What you used to do was grind the skin off, put a new skin on the outside and then just repaint the inside if the inside wasn't damaged. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it had a hit in the middle of the door and a complete skin put on it some stage between 69 and 79, and that's why the inside of the door is still original yet painted. The trim's still the original trim, but the plastic was different. Nice one, Sherlock. That didn't take a genius to work that out, but I'm just saying, alright? Righto, what's next? Brake lines or clean the dash? Brake lines, let's do them. So I've heated it to within an inch of its life and WD'd everything. And this is one thing I want to tread lightly with, because there's two things here. One, I don't want to put brake lines through the whole car. And two, the fluid that was in that master, the effing master, sort of indicates the internal linings of those, or the internal bore of these lines should be okay. So I'm just going to get two little spanners and link them together like that for a bit of leverage, and just go ever so slightly. Oh, and bash my elbow, but I got it. So we'll see what sort of, if anything, still pretty hot. Well, that's completely blocked, so nothing's going to come out of that. I'll just clean that nipple out with MIG welding wire and chuck him back in, but the fact that broke loose, I'm going to have a go at these lines. I've got them there, brand new rubber lines. That's generally where the issue always is, so I'll just replace him. Wish me luck. She wants to live. I just broke that banjo bolt free. Barely even touched it. I'll show you what a banjo bolt is. I'll show you on the new line. Well, I'll show you on the old one if I can get it out. That's why they call it a banjo bolt. See the shape of it? And then your nut has got a hole. No, bolt has got a hole in it. Goes through like that. Banjo bolt, just shaped like a banjo. And he's got two little copper washers on it, not to forget them. You watch, I'll be singing its praises and this will go snap. Yep, this one's going to fight me. Only my opinion, but I reckon breaking old brake lines free, hotter the better. I think I've got a 3/8 pipe spanner. I can see I'm going to need all the help I can get on this one, so I'll see if I can get a... Oh, wouldn't you believe it? I've got a spring on it, so it's not wide enough. Can I pull the spring back? I want to do it, but I'll get a plier. That's essentially how I burn myself every episode. It's because I'm too busy thinking get it done, and not busy thinking you just heated that, you dickwad. No, I can't get that. Geez, it'd have to thread right the way back to up into the engine bay. So back to this guy. Come on now. Sounds dumb, but I'm going to go the opposite way for a second and just try and crack it tighter. No, I'm rounding that off. This one got a better flat. Oh, it's just definitely tighter. No, I think I just rounded it off. I knew I spoke too soon. Want some good news? Fluid. It's a positive sign. I'm not feeling very positive though. There's always the old vice grip trick, but I really don't want to destroy it. Something just moved or snapped. I'm reluctant to look. Oh, I actually think I got it. I got it, but the head of the brake line is no longer what you'd call 3/8. It's now like half 3/8 and half that. So I do it again. Quick, 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 quick. My spanner's too slow. Right, got it. Whew. Don't have any fingers left, but I got it. It's actually pretty good. And like I said, there is actually fluid running out of that. Let's get the new one. Just like that. And we have a new front brake line. I'll get the other one done and we'll get on to rear wheel cylinders. So that was optimistic of me to think that I'd just duck over, hit this line and then get onto the wheel cylinders, but do you see the issue there? That line's bent over at 45 degrees. If I go try and undo that, there's no way that it's going to spin free of that line. It's just going to bust it, and if I straighten it, I'm thinking the same. So I might take that circlip off, whack the vice grips on and just hold them there and don't move them, and try and break the hose away from the line without turning that at all. I'll see if that works. And again, that banjo bolt came off pretty easy. I just hope this line does the same. I think I've got more fluid here too. Yep, look, fluid there as well. Right, clip out. Righto, so that's going to stay there. No, that's the wrong way. Got him. Got him. Yep. In your face, Valiant. And again, fluid. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods though. There's a lot going on up there. This one's got a remote brake booster. I'll show you. Like, it's all going swimmingly down there, but most vehicles later than this one, they'll have a booster behind the master. But if you look over here, that's like a VH44 remote style booster. A lot of early Holdens had them, so I'm kind of familiar with them. It just sort of adds to the lines. If you see those two lines run across to here, there's T pieces, there's the booster, and but you look there, there's actually 3 lines. That's because there's one going back here, and that's back to the front right that we're doing right now. So it just adds to more fittings, more lines, hopefully not more headaches, but we'll see. So I'm going to struggle to get you behind here, so I'll show you exactly what I'm undoing. So I'm going to heat this line here again, WD him, try and break him free, and then that's your wheel cylinder nuts there, or bolts there and one on the other side, and the drum has to come off. So for now, I'll just crack that line. I'll just make sure my wheel cylinders are right first. I think they're pretty right. Yeah, I think so. It's just that's got a long nipple in it, the other ones are short. I got these from an Australian company called Better Brakes. I think they were pretty reasonably priced too. The 2 rubber lines, 2 wheel cylinders, only about 140 bucks, and they only took a couple of days to get here, so we'll get these in. So I got the driver's side line and drum off, and that's the one that was the leak. That's, remember, the master cylinder had no fluid in that back section, the rear section. Well, that's the leak. There's the drum there, and you can see there's all the moisture around the edge. That's probably why that one was easier to get off. I think I'm going to replace these pads, because if you remember, I found some pads in the boot and they were brand new, so there was obviously an intention to replace them at some stage. So I'll try and disassemble this one and get the wheel cylinder in and the new pads in. Which were these guys. Brand new, never been fitted. Just been sitting in the boot of the car. Same as some of these guys. I reckon they're brand new, never fitted too. So we might have some steering issues later, but we'll cross that board as we come to it. So I'm down to my last spring. And also the brake pad adjuster. I know that they both connect into this guy somehow, and as the pads need adjusting out, that's the action that it'll do just to wind that out. But I can't remember exactly how that went back together. So I've got to now get that drum off so I can take a sticky beak at the other drum to finish off this one. Well, it's better than I had. I had no movement at all, and I can at least reel it, and I've just been WDing around the edge there that's probably hot, and trying to get a bit in around the wheel nuts so it gets in behind it, but I don't know how much success that's having. Just if it can get behind it and run down. Alright, so I got me most movement there. I'm just going to put a bit of weight on it. Ooh. There's that. Was that stopping it? And it's not like the handbrake's dragging or anything, because you can spin it pretty easy. She open center or limo in? I can't bloody see because there's no drum on the other side of them. You tell me which way that spins. Which way to go, forward or backwards? Backwards. So it's a open center because I spun the other one forward. Sometimes you can shock them back in. Oh, there you go. That's moving. Well, more than it was. I'm getting a heap of rust now. Now we're getting somewhere. Here we go. Come on. That one's been dragging because that has literally no pad left. Look at that. So we weren't wrong. We definitely needed new brakes. So that little adjuster goes in that hole. I sort of had it right, but I didn't think they both went in that same clip, but they do. Just in there, spring and the I don't know, what would you call that? The tensioner. I guess in a funny way there's a bit of a lesson there, and that is if you are doing brakes, don't pull both sides apart and go and clean components or whatever. Do one at a time so you can always refer back to it. For instance, I had that spring in that hole like that. It actually went, and it looks obvious now, but it actually went in the bottom one, in the little one. So I had it wrong. Well, I didn't have it wrong. I stopped when I thought I had it wrong, which it was. But anyway, always easier the second time. Wheel cylinder's about to come out. Oh, I've got one more little one for you. If you're fitting wheel cylinders, don't do them up tight. Put your line in so you can manipulate the wheel cylinder so you don't cross thread the line. That's always a big one. Cross threading the line gets you absolutely nowhere, except to the depths of misery and despair. I see my summer birds are back. They're late this year. It's almost over. That's it. All back together. Doesn't look real new, but you can tell they've been in there for probably 46 years, but they're new. Done. I ducked down behind the old valve because the wind's starting to pick up, so hopefully you can hear me, but that was a funny day. It went from the absolute depths of self-loathing over that master cylinder, and I did have a proper sook about that too. Oh, actually, while I was having a sook, I'll show you what I did. I had to take my mind off it, so I tripped over my bottom lip and actually got something done. But if you remember, that Welsh plug was leaking really bad when we ran it. I've actually put some JB weld in it, just patched it up enough that it'll run. The other thing was, I stole the water neck off the AP6. No, what is it? It's an AP5, Michael. So, and tomorrow I think we can put a new filter in it, and I reckon I'm going to take the chance on that tank, because at the minute I've got the old bottle there. I want to put some fuel in the tank, at least give it the opportunity to either work or leak on me, and then hopefully we can run it off the line into the pump, new filter, into the carburetor, and I guess maybe try and break that clutch free that way. And I guess what I'm hoping to do with that clutch is, number one, get the mechanism to work. I put my foot on it there before and it was as stiff as a board, so get the mechanism to free up, even if it's not disengaging the clutch, and then literally just put it in reverse or something like that and hit the key a few times. If we've now got the water sealed up, the Welsh plug's not leaking, the water neck's right, I think the radiator's not leaking. Anyway, so we've got water, so we can run it for longer is my point. If we can get fuel to it for longer as well, although the little jug will do for that, I'll just whack it in reverse here and just hit the key and see if I can just jar it loose or shake it loose. Is that the right term? Probably not. Shock it loose, that's what I'm trying to say. If I can break it free, we can at least circulate around the yard, you know, run it for a bit longer, get some more fuel through that carby. I give myself a little kicker and I put one tyre on, and that was the size tyre that came off. I don't know, I was facing that way, you probably can't hear me, but that was the size tyre that came off the car. And I'm glad we didn't go any bigger, because they don't have a lot of clearance. I don't think you'd be able to put a huge tyre on these things without clearance and guards and things like that, but for now that'll do. I'll clean up those rims tomorrow, bolt them on properly. I'll probably need to take them back off once we get the master back, to bleed up those brakes and whatever. And I guess then just maybe clean up the dash and the glass and wait for that master cylinder. But anyway, there's plenty we can do. I'll see you in the morning. Tiny change of plan with this wind picking up. I just looked at the forecast and we're about to get pissed on, so wouldn't normally worry me, it'll just wash the thing again, but now the interior's in it, I think I'll chuck the wheels on it real quick and just wheel him in onto the hoist. So sleep in here tonight, and in the morning we'll get stuck into that fuel tank, see what we can't work out. I like the blue in here. Looks brighter under the fluoros. So last night I chucked a bit of fuel in it. thinking that'll take all night just to leak out. But so far, so good. There was one patch there I was worried about. It looked wet. But I think it's okay. It hasn't changed, so I'll just grab a rag and just put a little bit of compressed air. I'll show you what I mean. I'm just going to use a rag to seal it up a little bit, and just a tiny bit of air. See if I can just pressurise it ever so slightly. See if fuel come out. Yep, I've got fuel, so there's no blockage. So we can connect that up, I reckon. I'll put a new filter in, connect that up to that pump. Hope for the best. And I will spare you the pain of putting my second kit through this master cylinder, but I'll get that cleaned up, get all the grease out of it. She's still a bit greasy, not with brake clean or WD I might add, but I'll get that cleaned up, get that booster back together, and we'll see where we get from there. So I've got the master back on, I've just popped the lid back on, and I will cut that off in 1 second, but I might flip the car around just so I can get to the front of it a bit better. So I'll push him out, flip him around, we'll start bleeding up some brakes. I better hurry up and get this thing going, because if I've got to push that again I'm going to lose my lollies. But I'm going to go for broke and head straight to the caliper and crack that guy, which if you remember I've already had that loosened when I put that rubber hose in, and see if I get fluid straight at the caliper. When that fails miserably though, I'll start coming back here and just trace the lines back to this remote brake booster and just see if we've got it to there, and then you know the theory, just keep going to the next fitting, and just see where the fluid stops. So that was a little too optimistic to think it's going to come out of there, but check this out. I crack those two lines on the booster and give it a shove, and well, I think we've got fluid. So if I've got fluid to those two lines, they're literally the left and right front wheel brake lines. So that one runs straight down there, comes out here. So I guess I'll undo my banjo, which I know that's good because I only just put it on, and we'll see if we can get anything into that caliper. Did I actually check if that bleed nipple was blocked? That was another thing. Oh, that's got fluid on it. I'll clean that out. But I can definitely do these two lines up now that I've got fluid, well, basically everywhere. Well, I did those lines up and it is running out of it. So we've got fluid to the caliper. Now we're just going to free that piston up. I just got to be careful near my fresh line. Okay, so that nipple is way too big for my little bleeder, so we're going to have to do this the old way. And that is with my trusty helper in the driver's seat. Okay, down. Up. So what I mean when I say the old school way, it's essentially just cracking it and down with the pedal and let the air out and up, and you're locking it off so that no air is getting sucked back into the system. Messy, but it works. Got to catch a bit, I'm losing too much fluid. Okay, down. And up, down, and up. So down. Oh, yep, up. Down again. Oh, yep, we've got left hand front brake. And right hand caliper. I've already got fluid there, we're just going to start bleeding. Down and up. put on him, we have front brakes. And so we'll just bleed these. Why can I see fluid on the floor? Why are we leaking fluid up the front? So just as I say, we've got front brakes, the booster fails, and there's fluid everywhere. I would say that's just failed internally. If it was any other car, I would just bypass that booster just by cobbling together some brake lines and things. You know I would, you've seen the HZ. But this one being so collectible, I really don't want to mess up these factory lines. So I had brakes for about 3 minutes, and that is a showstopper. I just looked up a rebuild kit and it's about 250 bucks. But an aftermarket El Cheapo one is only about $80, but obviously I can't get one today. So we'll just get on with everything else and worry about that last, I guess. We can break this clutch free. I've been talking about that for 2 days. Coolant, run it some more once it's got coolant in it, get the right size battery for it. There's still stuff we can do, so I'll get that on order. Exhaust, put a muffler on it. I could patch a muffler up. Right, let's stop talking and do that. And as far as exhaust goes, I think I'm just going to knock that off there, lube up that clamp, and then maybe try to just cut it off here and just jam it on for the time being, or maybe up there. Just try and jam it on and wire it to the floor somewhere. That's where it came from, but never mind. Well, what is that? Oh, that's the seat belt. I'm thinking, what is that hanging out under the car? That's just tuck that back up in there. But yep, muffler next, just so it sounds a bit quieter. Because now that it's looking great, it has to sound great too. So that's completely brand new. One doing that one, I should be doing it up. Do it that way, Mike. That ain't going anywhere. What I mean is it probably shouldn't be going anywhere, but it's going to. So pretty keen to fire it up and flush that radiator out, run it for a bit longer. Now it's got its own tank, well now that we're running off its own tank. Then the other thing is of course that clutch, so we're getting close except for the booster, but I'm trying to forget about that. Like really trying hard to forget about that. Anyway, let's get this full of water, flush the radiator, see where we go from there. And I zip tied the battery in just for now because I couldn't find a clamp. It wasn't in the boot. I'm going to try one of these miracle buddy. Whoa! That might do that. One of these miracle flushes. Am I supposed to put it all in? Sure. Whatever. This will test her out. Not the car, the flush. Got your work cut out for you there, bruh. You only run it for 10 minutes and then you drop it back out and put coolant in. And I do want to put coolant in it because that brand new aluminium water neck will corrode really quick without coolant. Actually, should I see if it doesn't need that anymore? Let's give it a go without that. See if it starts. Give it a go off its own back. Got a little hesitation irritation, a little miss there, but she's been through a lot, so we just had to warm up. Surprised I didn't get zapped put on the vent. And she sounds a bit different. So we'll give her a 10 minutes just to idle over, watch that water, make sure it doesn't drop down, and then I'll run him out. Just while it's running, I guess we'll try and work on this clutch. The clutch is depressing. Oh, it's depressing, alright. No, it is depressing, but just nothing's happening. You just can't get it into gear. So I would say that the pressure plate and the clutch plate are just stuck together, and although the pedal is going in, it's just not disengaging. So once it's finished with that radiator flush, all I'll probably do is put it in gear, put my foot on the clutch, and then start it again and just see if I can shock it loose. So we're definitely running on our own fuel now, drawing from the tank. It doesn't look filthy just yet. There you go. The mist is cleaning up. I'll give her a couple of little light revs. Clutch in. She's away. So they said it had to run for 10 minutes to flush that rad, but couldn't say it had to sit still. Go for a little drive. You wouldn't believe it, most of the fuel doesn't work unless, no, I didn't put that much in it. Temp's working, which is unfortunately is in the upper end of that gauge at the minute. Oil pressure, temp, yeah, and he's not supremely happy. I don't know if that's, yeah, it's working. There you go, who'd have thought. Well, temp's coming down. Temp's coming down really quick actually. Maybe that thermostat was stuck and it just opened. Cool. Just run the hose over it, just to cool it down so I can get the cap off, but I think that'll do it, eh? Shutting down. Well, seems to be working okay. I'll give it a couple of minutes and I'll knock that bottom hose off. It's not hot enough to build pressure, but yeah, it's hot enough not to want to touch, that's for sure. That's not great. Oh, dead set. Did that just fall out of the radiator hose? Yep, it did. That's as hot as anything. Oh my god. I might have to flush this a couple of times. Probably the first way I want to flush it is from the bottom outlet on the radiator, force water back up this way, because anything coming out of the motor is returning in the top. So if it's sitting on the top and I flush it from the bottom, it'll just float everything out the top hole. Well, that's the theory. I guess we'll find out if that radiator flush kills grass. I'll see what comes out if I flush the block. I'll go both ways. I'll go from the bottom radiator hose up, push anything out this way, and then swap it around and go the other way as well. It's relatively clean, really. Good enough for me. Done. Coolant. I might have to back him back off the slope, I think. I think I'm nearly confident enough to put the air cleaner back on it. Oh, didn't even have to get in it. It's getting better and better, that car. It's getting better and better, eh? So it's beer time. And this one's been a hard one to get my head around. 1 minute everything works, the clutch brake's free, temp gauge works, oil pressure's great. Sitting there at idle, I think it was like 45 psi at idle. And the carby's come good, it's working. Which shocks me a little bit, but anyway. But then the next minute, you got the brakes just fighting me. Well, I fought myself with the master cylinder. I didn't expect that cleaner to swell those seals like the way it did. But it's working fine. Booster, as you saw, started leaking. But I think I've made a bit of a decision on that. When I just went for that little drive, I tapped the brakes a few times and they feel fine. So they will fail. Slowly. So I think I'll just ignore them for now. I don't have 4 days to wait for that booster to get here, then just do that. It's pretty much ready to drive, except for the leaking brakes. Anyway, I just won't use brakes. So in the morning, actually I think you just have to wait and see. I'll see you in the morning. One last thing. It's the little things. I've been looking forward to this, and they're a really odd size. That's showing confidence in that carburetor. Now that I've praised it, it'll probably fail miserably. Which reminds me, new vacuum advance line. Now I'll see you in the morning. Oop, bit of grass. Now I'll see you in the morning. So the first thing I want to do this morning is fix this floor rust. There we go, fixed. Now the rust is all fixed, let's go for a drive. There's the other half of that chewed off. Ooh. Ooh. I was expecting to hear right at the end of that. Anyway, start again because that was f***ing terrible. Yep, still really hot actually. Jesus. I usually attack these. Shut up, Kookaburra. So that's it for another one. And firstly, I'd like to say thanks to the Armin family for letting me work on the Pacer. It was a lot of fun. Well, most of the time it was a lot of fun. And the Pacer came a long way in about 4 days, but she's still got a long way to go. Still got brake issues, rust issues. It drove okay, and it's running a lot better than it was, put it that way. There you go. I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.